Hello, Caroline here. This is going to be my second time recording this video because the first time was bad. So before I give you guys a timeline video on what happened from start to finish, if you can even start somewhere with these people, I wanted to give you a who's who in this unbelievable story. You need to know who everybody is to understand the timeline. There is a lot of people that have been hurt in the story. There's a lot of people that have been brutally murdered in the story. And there are people who have died of, we'll say, natural causes, even though I don't believe that in this story. And it all revolves around Chad and Lori Daybell. They are, in my opinion, the most sociopathic, narcissistic, I would even say possibly psychopathic individuals that I have ever looked into. They're monsters, in my opinion. Monsters. I know there have been in the past worse people in history, but looking at this as a mother, Lori's the worst kind of human being there could be, in my opinion. Anyways, I want to say thank you to Annie Cushing, who is Tylee Ryan's aunt, and Charles Valo's sister, for putting out so much information on everything. She put out a timeline that is impeccable. I'm going to be going through that and taking notes so that I can make a timeline video. I'll also have to look other places because she stopped making it a while back, and I don't blame her. It must be so heartbreaking to have to go through all of that when it comes to the murder of your niece. She is, like I said, Joseph Ryan's sister. I hope that's what I said, and not Charles. She's not Charles' sister. She's Joseph Ryan's sister, which was Lori's third husband. She's had 5. She's had 5 husbands. Anyways, she put this timeline together, and she also put a who's who involved. And I'm going to do my best to tell you guys who is who. So we're going to start with Tylee Ryan. Tylee was a bright 17-year-old girl who graduated early from high school because she was so intelligent. She is the daughter of Lori and Joseph Ryan. And they found sweet Tylee buried on Chad Daybell's property. But not only was she buried there, it's believed to be that she was dismembered and she was put into the fire. They tried to burn her remains, and then they buried her in the pet cemetery on the Daybell property. I just can't. As a mother, the fact that Lori knew that this was happening to her daughter and was okay with it? No. I can't understand that. Tylee was last seen after a trip to Yellowstone National Park on September 8th, 2019. There's a picture in my heading on this group of her and JJ that day. I cropped out Alex because he was in that picture, and he doesn't deserve to be in that picture, but they look just so happy. JJ Valo. He is the adopted son of Charles and Lori. He was the grandson of Charles' sister, Kay Woodcock, and her husband, Larry Woodcock. They were the grandparents, also the aunt and uncle, if you would go technically because of the adoption. He was also found on Chad Daybell's property, buried by the old pond. It was like a dried up pond. He was last seen being carried into Lori's house by Chad. At the time, JJ was believed to have been asleep. I personally think he was dead. And that was on September 22nd, 2019. Lori Daybell, aka Monster Mom. She has 3 children. Her oldest is Colby. Then she had Tylee, and then when she was married to Charles, they adopted JJ. Her current location, which makes me so happy, is the Madison County Jail in Rexburg, Idaho, where I hope she lives out the rest of her days and suffers in jail. She was arrested in Hawaii. Hawaii? Why Hawaii, you ask, when she lives in Rexburg, Idaho? Well, that's because she was on a honeymoon with her husband, Chad, who she married 2 weeks after Chad's wife passed away. And he was married to her for many years. We'll get into Chad next. But the reason that she was arrested in Hawaii was because she failed to turn her children into the courts when asked. And that was because they were dead. But she was seen wandering around Hawaii, having a great time. Pictures came out of them just so in love. Blah. And Nate Eden from East Idaho News tracked them down in Hawaii and followed her relentlessly and asked, "Where are the children?" It was awesome reporting. Chad Daybell, aka Monster Stepdad / Monster Husband. He is one of the heads of the group of the Doomsday Preppers called Preparing a People. He is also currently in jail in Rexburg, Idaho, awaiting trial for previous charges of tampering with evidence, concealing evidence. He got arrested the day that they found the children on his property. Before that, it wasn't his kids to turn into the court, so they couldn't really arrest him. He married Lori 2 weeks after his wife of many, many years mysteriously died in her sleep. They were high school sweethearts, and they married in 1990. I say a past life, but I don't really mean a past life, but many, many moons ago, Chad was the local grave digger for the cemetery there for years. He was a grave digger. Now think about that, and then think about how they found those children. He was a grave digger. He also wrote books for the Mormon faith, the Mormon religion. He also wrote books about his belief of having a thinned veil. How do I explain? He had a near-death experience, and he believed that his veil thinned to the other side, and he believed that he can communicate with messages to the beyond, and he used those messages to his advantage to manipulate people, multiple people, including his wife. Not not Lori, but Tammy. Charles Valo. Charles was Lori's fourth husband. He is the adopted father of J.J. Valo. He also had children from a previous marriage, who Lori told them when Charles died in a text message that their dad died, and then refused to tell them what happened and to get back to them in a timely manner. She thought that was appropriate to just text them and be like, hey, yo, your dad's dead. Pretty much the text message. It's disgusting. They were married in 2006, and he died on, I believe that was July 11th, 2019. Yeah, it was July 11th, 2019. He was shot and killed in Lori's living room by her brother Alex in self-defense. That's what they believed at the time of the death. Now they're looking into it as a murder case because it is murder. They planned the self-defense. In my opinion, it makes me sick. All of it makes me sick. At the time of the death, Lori, Tylee, and JJ were home when Alex shot and killed Charles. I believe that JJ and Tylee were outside at the time of the shots being fired. Lori then left the house and drove JJ to school. She later returned to speak with police with Tylee. There is body cam footage. I can find all of that and put it in the group if you guys want as well. It's disgusting. Lori acts like it's just any other day, like nothing major happened. She even is laughing like, sorry neighbors, because she had just moved in there like a couple of weeks or a month ago. And she was concerned that they were concerned about what was happening. Later that day, after Charles was shot and killed, they had a pool party. A pool party, like nothing happened. Just putting that out there. Tammy Davell. She is the wife and beautiful soul that was of Chad Daybell. They were married in 1990, and she died on October 19th, 2019. Now, what is interesting about that is 10 days after a masked gunman walked up to her in her driveway and attempted to shoot her, but the gun jammed. And as she was asking him, like, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? She screamed for she screamed for Chad to come out. And now who we know as Alex, being the gunman, ran away around the house because the gun jammed. 10 days later, they had to come up with a new plan to kill her, which they killed her in her sleep. Alex Cox, aka the family hitman, in my opinion. Lori's brother, better known as, again, the family hitman, as I said, he died. Now he's dead too. He died December 12th, 2019, just 2 weeks after marrying Zulema Pastinez on November 29th, 2019. He took her last name. Now, I'm not judging, but in my opinion, he took her last name because he was scared of being looked into for all of these deaths, for Tammy's death, for Charles' death, for the death of the kids, at the time, the disappearance of the kids. I think he was trying to hide. He died the day after they exhumed Tammy Davell's body. They exhumed it to do an autopsy because one wasn't made at the time of her death because Chad denied it. And apparently you can do that in Idaho. Change those laws, thank you. And the day they exhumed her, the next day Alex was found dead. Coincidence? I think not. Melanie Palowski, aka Melanie Boudreau. She is Lori's niece. She has followed Lori into the cult, and she has followed Lori in a cult-like manner. She came home one day, announced to her husband, Brandon Boudreau, who they were happily married with 4 small children, announced one day that they need to get a divorce. She is no longer in love with him, and they need a divorce. Well, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, I should say, after her divorce came in, she married Ian Palowski, who was also newly divorced of 4.5 months. Just putting that out there. I don't know much about Ian Palowski. He tried to wear a wire for the FBI, I believe. He tried, but he backtracked on everything. I think when people started dropping like flies, he got a little scared. I wonder why. And then they just sort of like dug their claws into him, and he changed his mind. So I don't know much about Ian, but scumbag. Just putting that out there. Brandon Boudreau is the ex-husband of Melanie Palowski, the father of their 4 young children. He fought for custody of their kids after she just left them, and she wanted to try and gain back custody of the children, and he fought against it. Thank goodness. He was scared for their safety, and I don't blame them. I don't blame him. He had good reason, because on October 2nd of 2019, he was also shot at in his Tesla. Just like Tammy, except for with Tammy the gun jammed. And for him, he saw what looked like a Jeep, which was Tylee's Jeep, which was registered under Charles' speed off after the shots were fired. Interesting. That comes in the timeline as well. Zulema Pastinez. She is a member of the LDS Church, and she is also a self-professed emotional code practitioner. Whatever the hell that is. And she listed herself as well as a cuddling service. Now, her being married to Alex, would you want to be cuddled by her? Because I sure would not want to be cuddled by her. She married Alex Cox on November 29th, 2019, 2 weeks before Alex died. And she had planned to move to Rexburg, Idaho with Alex, Lori, and Melanie, but they never moved. Instead, they went and got married in Vegas, and then they stayed where she was living. Also to note, Melanie married Ian Palowski the day after Zulema and Alex got married. So they got Alex and Zulema got married on the 29th of November, and Melanie and Ian got married on the 30th of November. They said it was, we just got swept up in the moment and got married too. I have a lot of words that are not appropriate. Zulema's 25-year-old son, who lived at home with her at the time of Alex's death, was called by his mother, Zulema, to check on him, and he found Alex unresponsive on the bathroom floor. He was covered in his own feces, and he was gurgling, is what was said on the phone call, the 911 call. I can also find that and put it in the group if you would like that as well. But Zulema called him to go and check on him, which is not something that she was known to do, which was weird. Colby. Poor Colby. Colby is Lori's oldest son. He is Tylee and JJ's sibling. And he didn't live at home, so he didn't succumb to the life that Tylee and JJ did. He gets to live out his life. He is married to Kelsey Ryan, and they have a little girl, and they're expecting a new baby. Lori did not like Colby's wife, from what I've seen. I don't know if that's true, but I can see that because I can see that Lori would be the type of mom that Kelsey stole her baby boy away from her type of thing, you know? I can see that. His mother, Lori, moved herself and the kids to Idaho, unbeknownst to Colby. Colby didn't know. He knew that they were moving. He didn't know that they were moving to a completely different state. They originally lived in Phoenix, Arizona, I believe, or somewhere in Arizona, and she moved them all the way to Rexburg, Idaho, out of nowhere. So people thought. There was a reason. So many reasons. Larry and Kay Woodcock are, in my opinion, the heroes in this story. If it wasn't for them wanting a welfare check on JJ, somebody to put eyes on JJ, I don't know where this story would be today. I don't know how long they could have gone without being seen for what was happening. I don't know how to word that any differently, but if it wasn't for Larry and Kay wanting to have someone check in on JJ because they were worried they had not talked to him, and the last time they talked to him, it was so rushed. It was like 30 seconds, something like that. If it wasn't for them demanding somebody put eyes on that kid, Chad and Lori would still be living their lives in Hawaii. It makes me sick to think about that. They are the biological grandparents of JJ, and Kay is Charles' sister, like I explained before, and their son, I believe, is the biological father of JJ, but then Charles adopted JJ because the biological parents were just not able to care for him, and he was an autistic boy, so he was a little bit much to take care of, but Charles just absolutely adored him and was more than willing to do that for JJ. He loved JJ like he was his own, and he was an amazing father from what I hear. They started the search, like I said, and when they realized something sinister was going on, they put up a reward, a $20,000 reward for the safe return of JJ. They were also more than willing to accept Tylee into their home once they were found and located. Even though technically they weren't related to Tylee, they were willing to take her in for her safety in this whole story. Now, there's one more person I didn't really write about because I just didn't know where to put her in the story. Her name is Melanie Gibb. She testified at the original prelim hearing for the original charges of not producing the children, stuff like that. I can't really remember exactly what court date it was, but they had a preliminary hearing, and she testified there. She was very aggressive in her testimony, very sarcastic, and a new phone call has come to light recently that explains a lot of why that would be. She seems to be more involved than originally believed, I guess you can say. I think she's working with the prosecution. I hope she's working with the prosecution because they need to go down for these murders. All of them. Even if Alex was murdered, they need to go down for that murder too. Because there's too many murders for it to be a coincidence. Anyways, I'm going to be putting together a video of a timeline. I'm sorry I don't have a better setup. Maybe I'll try and make a better setup for the timeline video. Let me know what you think of this video if you want more. I've got a lot of information on this case. I've been following it since the beginning. It hit me hard. It hit me hard. So maybe because I have a daughter and a son, I don't know, but it really hit me hard. Anyways, thank you. Bye.